All right. But yeah, as I mentioned to you, if we may segue, as I mentioned earlier, that we have an unprecedented event that took place in this country today, and I'm sure you're aware of it. I'm referring to the indictment of former President Donald Trump.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Just
sir.
real quick.
Yes.
I'm younger than you are and not quite as versed in the higher upper echelon of our politics. I've never heard any president called the former president. It's President George W. Bush, who was admitted into the hospital today.
That's true.
President Gerald Ford. President Bill Clinton was seen on Jeffrey Epstein's plane 33 times. He's not former president, and that guy was impeached. Why is it former President Donald Trump?
Well, that's the way the left marginalized this president in order to make him vulnerable, to count him outside Washingtonian, because he's not a Washingtonian. And it's a systematic way from the very beginning to really targeting this president. And as you know, his 4 years as president was very, very troubling with the left side was in power of the House.
It was very reality TV drama-esque, in my opinion. But at the same time, if you want to give lip service to the entire picture of what the presidency of Donald Trump was, we were doing fairly well economically. I mean, I ran a business during the Donald Trump administration, and like fuel taxes, just cost of fuel overall. If you looked at the presidency minus left versus right, CNN versus Fox and all that, if it was President Harry A. Smith from Ohio who won the presidency and did policy-wise similar things or the same things as Trump, he probably would have gotten reelected and been praised. Up until this point, I don't think anyone can be liked after the last 2.5 years that we've all had to live. In the manner in which it was lived, I don't think any of us would be happy with anyone in office. It's my opinion.
I think from a historical perspective, it's going to take us about a quarter of century, about 250 years to really understand what just took place today. And again, I'm looking at history because if you go back in every historical event, when something like that happened, it always a sign of the beginning of something just die. And so today, democracy just took its last breath.
Democracy took its last breath.
Correct.
What makes you say that? Because we're indicting a former sitting president?
Well, notice the first concept I invoke historically. If you look, you have to go back into history. If you go back into history, the first time we will criminalize a king and was beheaded, that was the first time we started getting rid of king at all. The minute you criminalize the concept of a king, as you know, king was accused of committing treason.
It was King Henry, right?
Correct. And he was beheaded. And that was the beginning. We're going to get rid of the concept of this thing called king. From that point on, it was. And so historically, whenever something like this happened, it's always the beginning of the death of something.
What was the catalyst for King Henry's demise?
Well, one very powerful member of the House Lord accusing him, which was Cornwall, that was his name, accusing the former president. I mean, not I say former president, the king of plotting and committing treason with the neighboring country, which includes Spain and different part of Europe. And so the House of Lords agree with him, and it was very humiliating and arduous trial and find the king to have committing treason.
Yeah, and now that's the policy and government end of it. And then on a societal note, like a societal front, he kept killing their queen. He'd get angry and behead their queen. And it was an odd thing in the monarch. People feared and respected the king traditionally and
Yes,
loved
that's
and honored the queen. Like the queen, especially as we moved into the modern era with what was left of monarchs, queens and princesses became these Kardashians of their day, if you will. They are Princess Diana was the first Kardashian. If those boys were daughters, we would have never met the Kardashians because we would have all been obsessed with the royal princesses of Wellington and the Duchess of Duke. If they were bloodline princesses but I think from a societal standpoint, we kind of did the same thing to ourselves while Donald Trump was being indicted, while Joe Biden is being criticized every time he turns left or right or falls down the stairs at coming off of a plane, which to me it's tragic. That's the leader of our nation, and that's dangerous. Like I don't want to see him fall. Instead, you can go on the internet and you can watch like a 3-minute compilation you'll be in tears laughing because they did it well and it's hilarious. But I feel bad at the end of the day. Like that's my commander in chief. I love this country. I want to be represented by something that I can aspire. Look at my nephew and be like, look at that man or woman, or look at that person, look at that American up there that is leading our country. Instead, it's this polarizing, weird thing that's happened. But moving on. I always get caught up with something like that.
Oh, that's okay. Well, again, as I mentioned earlier, some of the monologue, as I'm talking about, as you recall, that the noise makers, referring to the postmodern and some of the other group that have been identified, who's changing all the fundamental, all the principle, and all the imperatives. And many people do not understand exactly what the significance of the forces that are coming at us in today's. And so it's going to be very, very hard because what happened is, see, when you look at a president, just like when you used to look at a king, he is the embodiment of what we are as a people. That was the thing that the people understand. This person represent whatever this nation is. Did you deliberately put your volume up?
Yes.
Okay.
I call it the cough button. So
okay.
especially when we're doing them this way, because the sound quality is so well now. Which, just to backtrack 1 second, not to get us off track, but
no, go ahead.
To our listeners, we love you guys. We really do appreciate it. Eddie doesn't know this, but we've only put up maybe 2 hours worth of video 48 hours ago, and you guys are awesome. We've already had 5 hours worth of watch time through the stats. So I would have been happy if one person watched this and hit me up, was like, hey man, that was really cool. That was exciting.
Yeah.
Instead, we have 35 different viewers. I don't know who you are. I know a couple of you, but we love you guys. It was cool. The whole experience has been a lot of fun for both of us. And I'm really, really sorry about the sound quality of those first couple. We got figured out, as you can tell. Thank God. It tormented me.
And our viewer needs to know that we are committed to improve and continue to work and find and get whatever software we need to improve everything: quality, image, sounds, projection. They need to know that's a commitment we have, and I would appreciate if they can keep in memory our humble beginning. They just need to know that we're committed to improve, and that's one thing we will. So the day will come when they say, "This is guy, look at this shit."
That was us then too.
Yeah.
or in the future, if I would love to do this and hit 1,000 episodes with you. Like that's a catalyst for ultimate success. I don't care about views. I care about how much quality time you and I spend having these conversations.
Well, we're on the way.
Oh, yeah, we're well on the way. We're further now than we've ever been before, my friend.
I know,
Every day
absolutely.
we keep on driving. But
Absolutely.
going forward, we do want to get better. We do want to get more professional, but at the
And we
same
will.
time, we want to try to stay small so we don't have a bunch of noise around what we do.
We don't want to become a noisemaker.
No, and we don't want to have noisemakers around us either. With
That's
that
right.
being said, this is an amateur production done by two guys who are not very good with technology. So we have a social media manager coming in to help us two old men learn how to distribute and advertise and promote this to hopefully get it in more ear holes and eyeballs on it. But if you guys, anyone out there who's listening, who has any experience in this area, I'm open to suggestion. I'm open to advice. I'm open to even criticism. Just all I ask is let's
Constructive criticism.
keep it constructive. Whatever, whether it's a compliment, whether it's a compliment or a criticism, just either way, keep them constructive or keep them to yourself. I don't care. Like I said, I'll read, but I'm not replying to anything that's ignorant. I don't need to put breath to it. It's just how I feel about the internet as a whole.
And we want our listener to know that we value people time. We value people commitment. We want people to know that I personally, for what I do, I understand what's going on in people's lives today. All of us are struggling with so many things in our life, in our personal lives. And so we do know that you have many important things to do in your lives. And if you take the time to listen to one of our podcasts, we will value very much that time. And we also will appreciate any form of contact response that you express to us. But we do understand how precious your time is. To find time to listen to a podcast will be a very appreciative thing.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Speaking of which, let's keep it moving here.
Yes.
We were going to get into touch on the issue at hand. Today is March 30th, 2023, and for the first time in the history of the United States, a former sitting president has been indicted by the federal government. What does that mean for the psychological impact on the society that has to now sift through this? And we've already, I say it's the two wings of the same shipbird, but we're already so polar with the left wing, right wing. This is just a big old wedge hammered in with a sledgehammer now.
Well, yes, the implication it's unknown for now, but it will have some very, very severe and untold implication. There is no once you open the door, it cannot be closed. That is that, and so we remember we're talking about an environment where we see in the last let's say in the last 20 years or so, if you go as far as back you like to go. If you want to go back to the Bush administration with Iraq, and then later on the Obama administration with the Middle East, and then
with Syria primarily.
With Syria, and if you go back,
Yemen as well.
The two parties have been at each other's throat ever since, nonstop. This is one of the reasons why I no longer watch. I used to be so fun watching my candidate debate. And I appreciate when someone who's running for president is referring to Mr. President. I did not watch the last debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, but many people tell me I'm glad you did because he was insulting the president. He called him names during the debate. And I encourage people to go and watch the debate between Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Carter. You will see civilized men.
How about Reagan and Nixon?
Reagan and Nixon.
Two guys that
Okay,
hated each other but still showed
yet
respect, poise, and professionalism.
correct,
Yeah.
correct, and then do a comparative analysis between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. You will think that you're watching some kind of show made up by someone that's definitely not a presidential debate. And so that's what I'm telling people. And then it just reached its epic today when you have a left wing, the DA from New York. He's a Democrat. He's a left wing Democrat, and it's been used by his party to conduct this investigation, which we know
Well,
targeting the president. And
if you go back to when the DA ran, he ran on the platform of vote for me, I'll indict the president. And do we want to talk about what he's being indicted for?
well, from what we understand, it's the claim that he used campaign money, hush money, to pay this woman called
Stormy.
Stormy
Miss Stormy
Daniels.
Daniels. Yeah,
Yeah,
Miss Stormy Daniels.
that she had an affair with then Donald Trump, and she was about to come out with that information when Donald Trump was running for president in 2016. In order to keep her quiet, his lawyer, he's the one that arranged the deal, and then claimed that it was campaign money that was used to pay her, but not to pay her, to pay him back. Um, so the conflict is not paying her, is how the money was paid back to this guy. Now, there was a time, I am a very forgiving person. I'm not going to stop being forgiving, but I understand that there was a time, if you were a convicted felon, we didn't turn you into a superstar. This guy was convicted on multiple fraud and different things. And then he came out of prison, and every time we turn around, he's in front of camera.
Who are we talking about?
The former lawyer of the president, who's the star witness of the DA.
Yep.
What's his name? Coleman.
Coleman. Colin. Yeah, we'll call him Colin. The lawyer, the Colin lawyer guy. Yeah.
Yeah. What's his first name? Is it
Michael. Michael. I believe it's pronounced Cohen, but I love
Is it
Colin. No, it's Colin now. We'll change it. That's amazing.
I hope he doesn't come after us.
Good old Mikey Colin didn't properly wipe his mouth off before he started spouting off in front of the cameras, and now there's poo everywhere.
He's a star witness for the DA. They're going after the president, and there we have him succeed.
So the fact that the sitting president's lawyer basically did a paid NDA, because that's essentially what it was. She signed an NDA, but the NDA was written in agreement to a dollar amount. You have to sign this NDA, but because I'm asking for your silence, we're going to compensate you for your silence. Under the law, there is nothing wrong with that. The only reason this guy is being indicted is because campaign funds were utilized to possibly pay back his lawyer. Where did these campaign funds come from, and why can't I see who gave who what?
But in addition to the reason why the grand jury was stopped, they stopped meeting last week because he did Michael Cohen, that's his name, Cohen. His former attorney. His former attorney was the last witness. I thought it was they probably had a witness this week, but his lawyer was a former lawyer, was one of the witnesses the grand jury was going to listening to, and they did. And from what I heard from what I read over the internet, his former lawyer who testified to the grand jury showed the grand jury a letter that he himself sent to the FEC in 2016, indicated them, quote, Donald Trump did not use campaign money to repay Mr. Cohen. That's his lawyer testified to the grand jury last week. To me, right away, the grand jury should be dismantled. Oh, no, they didn't dismantle it because they come up with, there was one more witness they were going to meet.
We have a new one. We have a new witness. We need another witness. And then we already had our last scheduled witness, and we don't like. So we're going to have a new witness and see what.
There was one more witness for this week, and then at the end, the president was indicted of hush money. And so, but Anyway,
But
we
he's
had
not
to.
indicted on the hush money, though. He's indicted on the misappropriation of campaign funds. What
That
campaign funds is he was a Republican nominated candidate, sitting
yes.
president candidate for the upcoming election. So the RNC, Republic National Convention, gets in billions of dollars during campaign season.
Hmm.
And then they distribute them to their candidates to do buses,
Whatever.
trips, commercials, yada, yada, yada. I do apologize. I have a tickle in my throat. I had a seasonal flu flare up. I live in Pennsylvania, and our weather has been changing from 30-degree swings every 24 to 48 hours.
And
And
then
it's hard.
70, and then 72, and then
And
35.
then 58, and then 32, and it snowed, and now I need sunscreen because it's 83. I don't
I
know.
know.
I kind of like it, but anyway, what was I saying?
About campaign fund.
Okay, so these campaign funds are funneled into the RNC. Correct me if I'm wrong here again. I'm amateur knowledge at best, but I pay attention and I try to understand things. So we have all this money funneling into the RNC, and then it's being funneled out to whatever. There's a senator, there's a district manager, there's the sheriff, there's the DA for New York, the DNC, the Democratic National Convention, the guy who's indicting President Trump. They made sure that he was paid in his campaign party, his door knockers, his envelope stuffers, his phone, yada, yada, yada,
It's
yada.
all
yada.
campaign money.
So we're worried about where the campaign money went, correct?
That's what they tell
That's
us.
what's illegal. Where did the campaign money come from?
From donors, from the American people.
No. Majority of campaign finance donor money comes from corporations. Brought to you by Pfizer. Same ones who bring you the news. They bring you the politicians. We, the people, I feel, should be concerned with what anyone who runs for any office utilizes their campaign funds for. But before we worry about where it goes, someone needs to talk about where it came from. And who is the oversight committee, and who is the body that is keeping an eye on this?
Nobody knows.
This is important.
Well, I don't.
No, but this is very important, because no matter what, if you're paying my bills, if you're financing my goal, my passion, I'm kind of beckoning to you, because in 4 years, whenever I want to keep being a senator, I'm going to need in-search innovation money. I need that $2 million, that in-search. Well, I got to make sure that in-search innovation, I didn't do anything to damper their growth, their reputation. Because if I did, or if they requested me to do something and I didn't come through, there might be another guy over here that's going to take my job. Who commits the audit of this?
I don't know. Nobody knows. It's all inner work. It's all inner work. And each party do their own thing.
You familiar with the term cronyism?
That's right. It's inner work.
And I don't subscribe to left wing, right wing. I'm not a Democrat, not a registered Democrat. I'm not a registered Republican, but I am a registered voter. And if you look at my ticket there, it would have no rhyme or reason to you as to why I voted for who, as it should. My ticket should not look like left, right, split down the middle, and everything is on one side. You're an uninformed voter, and they should take away your right, in my opinion. You know, I've had experiences in places where voting wasn't a given. It wasn't even a promise, and it was downright deadly to vote. I'm not kidding you, Eddie. I've been places where you need to put up concertina wire and sniper posts and have roving security guards so civilians can funnel in and still get mortars dropped on the area.
They don't. Yeah, we see them on the news. We watch them all around.
And then I come home to find I only vote left, and I don't talk to anyone that voted for DJT. What? What? Do you even understand what this is? You only vote left. Up and down the ticket, you only vote left. Well, then you don't understand what you're even voting for or your responsibility as a voter.
Well, here we are. We are just we just on another new page in history. We see what's going to happen because right now I understand that the governor from Florida, where the president currently is resident of,
Ron DeSantis. Is that what we're talking about? Okay.
Yes, he conferred to the nation that his extradited law is in effect, so he will need to extradite the president to go and arraign. That's a very sad thing. I don't plan to watch it.
So he's going to allow New York to extradite Donald Trump from
as
Florida?
a governor, he claimed he have to obey the law, and so he reassured the nation that Florida extradite policy it's in effect. So if Donald Trump, he said that few weeks ago, if Donald Trump would be indicted, he will be extradited to go to New York to face those charges. So,
but we can't start bending the rule for anyone in any which way, especially now with everything being so critical, in my opinion.
I think personally, I think that I'm sorry that the House of Representatives do not have that constitutional power, but that's a time I would hope they have that constitutional power to have remove that DA from New York and impeach him prior to that. There's only one way I will support any indictment of a former or seated president of the United States for one basis: if he commit treason. Anything else other than that is just political destruction. I don't see any legitimate. If the president, that's the only thing I'll support an indictment to hold the president. If he commit treason with a foreign country and put the life of this nation at risk. Anything else? How many women he slept with? When did he?
Anything else? That's why we vote every 4 years.
To me,
that's why we have term limits and we vote every 4 years.
I don't want to know when the president, how many children he have, and what he did in high school. I don't want. To me, that's waste of.
And I mean, if you really think about it, with the level of polarity that the world's in right now, and especially the American society, even to say I would only support treason, you'd have to kind of put an asterisk by that too, because what is their definition of treason?
Yeah, and somebody can come with anything and call it treason.
Then now this is treason. Yes, exactly. Yeah, so it's one of those things right now that we're all kind of lost in the ethos. If you talk to an individual, none of us think it makes any damn sense. But then you get a group of 500 or more people wearing the same hats, whether it's a red MAGA hat or a pink pussy hat, it doesn't matter. If they're all wearing the same hats, they all got the same crazy, weird, nonsensical chants. Lock her up. What? Investigate. How about we do that first? Hold a trial, please. Like, I don't get the. I mean, I do. I get it. Have you ever chanted before, Eddie? Like with a group of people, not a mantra and not a yoga chant, but like a sporting event. Like, did your kids play sports?
I play sports.
You play sports?
Soccer. Yeah, when I was younger. Yeah, absolutely.
When you were playing soccer and you weren't on the field, but you were watching. You were on the bench. You were waiting to relieve. You ever be in an environment like where the crowd's like boom, boom.
Oh yeah.
Boom, boom. And people are
Oh yeah. Especially
oh my God, is that intoxicating? Now put yourself in the game and that's happening. Oh, that's a whole nother level. Now you have the ball and that's it's the same amount of people. Now
Electrifying.
you just kicked that goal and that same level of people that were here. Now they're going crazy. People are manic. They're not even breathing. They're not even thinking. Imagine what it's like to be Donald Trump standing in front of a rally in Wisconsin and you got 5,000 people in an arena chanting "lock her up." And the dude is a comedian. I mean, by far, he has some of the best chops on a microphone that we've had from a president. Obama was very articulate, but Obama would lie to you and make you feel good about the lie. And even if you knew it was a lie, we ain't doing nothing in Syria that doesn't need to be done. And then you Google the word Syria, and it's like, what the hell are we doing in Syria? Why are we funding 3 sides of a 2-sided war? I know it's fun and it's funny to talk about it, but there comes a point where we can't have comedians and not to knock your age because you're an exceptional. If Joe Biden was in the shape that you're in, I would not question his age one bit. Eddie, I think you'll turn 110 and still be in better shape than what Joe Biden's in right now. You know what I mean? And he got the best medical care in the world available to him. And it's like, they got him